Hi, my name is Ishli Suzanne Piacenza, and I'm here to share my folktale. It is from Puerto Rico called Juan's Bobo Spot, or also known as Juan's Bobo Spot that could never walk. So let's start. Once upon a time on the island of Puerto Rico, there lived a boy named Juan Bobo. Well, his name was Juan, but he was called Juan Bobo because he was a foolish boy. He had a huge heart full of generosity and sweetness. Alas, that heart was not what he used when he was making decisions about life. For that, he used his head. And Juan Bobo's head? Well, let's just say his head was not quite as full as his heart. Okay, so one day, Juan Bobo's mother invited friends for dinner. I'll make a nice big chicken stew, she said to Juan Bobo. She had the chicken, she had the rice, but she didn't have the large pot. So she said, Juan Bobo, go to your grandmother's house and borrow her biggest pot. Hurry now so I can make my stew. Juan Bobo loved chicken stew so much, so naturally he was so glad to help. He ran outside and up the hill toward his grandmother's house. As he ran, he could almost taste the stew and could see the pot. The big three-legged iron pot, round and sturdy, he had eaten many stew cooked in that pot. When he reached his grandmother's house, he went straight to the cupboard where she kept the pot. He lifted it up on his shoulder and called, "Thank you, grandmother," before heading for home. Home wasn't far, but the pot was heavy and the day was so hot. Before long, sweat pouring down Juan Bobo's face, and his shoulder hurt, and his feet was so tired, and his breath was so becoming short. So pagod na siya. And so he said, "I'll think I'll rest for a while," he said aloud. So he stopped and put the pot on the ground. So after that, he stood there catching his breath, looking at the pot, and suddenly he noticed those 3 legs. He said, "Hey, you have 3 legs and I only have 2. Why should I carry you?" Rhyme, huh? The very idea that a boy with 2 legs had to carry a pot with 3 legs made no sense to Juan Bobo. Of course, it didn't, because it was not what Juan Bobo usually made. He continued to stare at the pot and he began to feel angry. "You lazy pot," he said at last. "Why don't you walk on your own? Come! We'll race to my house, but since I just have 2 legs and you have 3, I'll take a head start." The pot seems to be staring at him. Of course, no reaction from the pot. It's the object. "It's easy, the house is just downhill and around the corner," he said, nodding at the pot. He was sure it understood his directions. "I'm off," he said. He began to race toward home. When he reached the cottage, he rushed inside and said to his mother, "Did I get here first?" And Juan Bobo's mother looked at her son's sweaty, flushed face and shook her head. "What are you talking about? Where's your grandmother's pot?" "Mother," Juan Bobo said very seriously, "the pot has 3 legs and I only have 2. So I told the pot I would race it home." Juan Bobo's mother shook her head and sighed. "Oh, Juan Bobo, don't you know pots can walk on their own? You go back and get the pot right now or I'll have no stew at all." So Juan Bobo was very upset with his mother, but he lunged for the stew. So he ran back uphill and found the pot right where he'd left it, of course. "What kind of lazy pot are you?" he shouted. "Now I'm in trouble with my mother and I'm not have dinner tonight. You have one more chance, get down the hill." Naturally, the pot just sat there. Of course, again, it's just an object, staring at poor Juan Bobo, and this infuriated boy, usually kind-hearted, began to grow cold and he started angrily at the pot. "One more chance," he warned. The pot did not budge. So Juan Bobo lost his temper and kicked the pot. It tipped over its side and began to roll down the hill. "That's right," Juan Bobo cried, overjoyed at last that the pot was on its own way home. And so the pot and Juan Bobo reached home. Juan Bobo's heart warmed a little, especially later that night as he ate the delicious chicken stew his mother cooked inside the pot. In the morning, he said, "Now, Juan Bobo, take back the pot to your grandmother's house." Juan Bobo looked at the pot and saw it still had 3 legs, and even though he was nice and full from the delicious stew, he still had only 2 legs. But Juan Bobo's heart was compassionate, and he knew the pot worked hard all night cooking that stew. So he picked that pot and carried it in his shoulder up the hill, but as they walked, he said, "Next time I'll back home on your own, my friend." Nobody's quite sure what happened next time, but overall, at least Juan Bobo has decided to carry the pot instead of letting him rise again or daring him to walk. That's all. Thank you.